Hey everybody, I'm so excited for today's video. I waited a year to make this. This is going to be my 1-year review of owning a Tesla Model 3 Standard Range Plus, which is now called the rear wheel drive model. I guess you can call me a Tesla fanboy. I love the company. They've created an idea and they've sold that idea to its customers. And I think the future is going to be EV. And Tesla is way ahead of the curve in all regards. I've driven this car 14,000 kilometers. I've experienced the good and the ugly. And in today's video, I'm hoping to cover all of that for you. So, with that being said, let's get right into it. I'm going to cover things like autopilot. I'm going to cover some of the features, the range of the vehicle, the design, the trunk and front space, and so much more. So hopefully you can stick around for the whole thing and get a great idea of how my first year of owning this Tesla has been. And again, it's not perfect, but it's darn well close, so you're gonna wanna stick around. Let's first talk about how great this car is, okay? And in my opinion, the first thing is the way it looks. It's sleek, it's sporty, it has great curves, and the car still turns head to this day. Now, this car is considered a little bit small. It is a small sedan, but you will be surprised at how much room it has. And I think it's because there are less moving parts than your typical gas car. Now the trunk, there is ample space for at least 3 suitcases. And then there's like a compartment below the regular trunk where you can fit even more. So when you're on those road trips, you have space for luggage. Speaking of space, let's not forget about that frunk. The frunk isn't huge, but it easily can fit a couple of backpacks. If you want to laugh, I actually use the frunk for takeout. I don't like the smell of food in my car, so I always put my food inside the frunk. The car has an incredible sunroof, all the way from the front of the car to the back of the car. And the nice thing about that is it feels so spacious, despite it being a smaller vehicle. Not only that, but if you get the white interior like I have, it adds even more room visually when you're inside the vehicle. So it just feels way more open. Okay, the next great thing about this car is that it's fully electric. Obviously, you do not need gas. So I haven't been to a gas station in over a year, which is great. And you might not think that's such a big deal, but when you live in Canada or colder climates, when it's cold or extremely hot, you don't ever have to get out of the car. And the nicest feature about having an electric vehicle is I can charge it in the comfort of my own house. That's right, I plug it in when I get home from work, I plug it in when I come back from a road trip, and I set up the software so that it's charged fully for where I need it to be the next day. It's so convenient and saves so much time. Now, I'm gonna sound like a diva here, but having to fill up that gas car is a pain. I do not like going to gas stations anymore. But there is a small downfall to that, and that's when you go on road trips, because you're going to have to rely on superchargers, and that does add a little bit of time to your trip. The great thing about Tesla is they have proprietary superchargers along major routes. Personally, I like to stop every couple of hours anyway, to either grab something to eat or go to the washroom or take a little stretch break. Before I do that, I plug into my supercharger, and about 15 minutes later, I'm good to go until my next stop. Now, it's not necessary. You could also purchase a long-range version of a Tesla, but these superchargers make it extremely convenient and simple to get to where you need to go. Now, I have been to Toronto and back and Kitchener and back, and those are approximately 4 hours away from where I live, and I've had no issues. There's no range anxiety. I haven't had to worry about getting there with enough battery. It's been great. Now, currently, Tesla is allowing non-Tesla owners to use their system. This isn't everywhere in North America, but they are trying it in Europe. But the advantage of owning a Tesla is that you can use those fast superchargers. Now, the version that I have gives me an approximate range of 430 kilometers. And that has been plenty for me. And superchargers are very quick. So in that 10 to 15 minutes, you can get enough juice back into your battery to get you to your next stop. And speaking of quick, this Tesla Model 3 has a 0 to 60 estimated speed of 5.8 seconds, which may not seem like much compared to a Ferrari, let's say. but this is also not a supercar. But once you experience the torque of a Tesla, you'll think it's the most incredible feeling ever. And not only does it feel great, but it's very useful because sometimes it'll get you out of sticky situations to avoid an incident or get around a slow moving vehicle, and you don't have to worry about being able to get out of that situation. Now, one incredible thing about driving a Tesla is using the regenerative braking with one pedal driving. So what I do is I use one foot on the accelerator. I hardly ever use the brake. All right, so with one pedal driving, when you let go of the accelerator, the car uses that energy to not only charge your battery, but slow the car completely. In fact, it comes to a complete stop and holds. What that means is also you're not using your brakes, your brake pads, or your rotors. So long term, you really don't have to change that equipment like you do on regular cars. Now, one thing that people don't really speak about is the zero emissions. It's kind of a nice feature to be able to warm up your car or cool off your car in the comfort of your garage without having to open the garage door. There's no fumes. So within the app, you just press the button and, for example, heat up your car, and if the garage door is closed, it's great. There's no emissions being spewed out into your garage and no CO2. Okay, let's talk about autopilot. Now, your Tesla Model 3 will come with autopilot. Not full self-driving, which is an extra about $20,000 Canadian. Now, personally, I don't recommend buying full self-driving because I think that the autopilot features do everything that I need, such as staying in the lane, adjusting speed based on traffic, and emergency braking. Tesla has introduced something called Enhanced Autopilot, which is another upgrade of about $8,000, and it does a couple other features that autopilot includes, but it also has summon, auto parking, and a few other features. Again, I don't recommend enhanced autopilot or full self-driving, but everyone is different. So I love the autopilot that comes with the Tesla Model 3. I use it every day. Now, some people are worried about allowing the vehicle to do the driving itself, but I feel completely confident. And the more often that you use the software and the technology, the more confident and comfortable you will probably be as well. Now, on a road trip, autopilot is great. So on a 4-hour road trip, I am allowing the car to drive itself approximately 80 to 90% of the time. I'm just there to monitor and make sure that the system is working properly. Now, it can be a little bit scary when you're seeing the car turn around corners and you have no hands on the steering wheel. But believe me when I tell you, after a full year of driving, you're going to love the autopilot feature. If you want the full self-driving, that's great. The full self-driving is basically you saying, I'm going from point A to point B, and it does everything. It includes the stops, the turns, traffic lights, and the signals. Now, technically, it's still in beta at the time of this video, but it's getting better and better each and every day. But that's a personal choice. Okay, let's talk about technology. This massive 15-inch screen is the best in the business. For example, the maps are phenomenal. The backup camera quality is probably the best I've ever seen in any vehicle. If you're browsing through music on your Spotify account or your YouTube Music, everything is streamed flawlessly on this massive iPad. When you back up, the cameras show you exactly how close you are to curbs. And again, the lines help back up so well that you only need to use them once. There's no going in and out and in and out. They are extremely accurate and precise. The nice thing about this car, it also has profiles. So you set up a profile for each driver. So what that means is when that driver comes in with their key card or their phone, it remembers their seat adjustments, their climate controls, the one pedal driving, just everything that is custom for that particular user. The software with this car is also phenomenal. On a regular basis, Tesla pushes updates through your Wi-Fi connection to your car. So for example, they update the UI, they add new safety features. So even though the car is 1 year old, it's like you have a brand new car every single day. They're always adjusting and tweaking and making the software better. Another thing you're going to love is the Tesla app. Now in this app, you can control all the regular features such as the heating, the temperature, but guess what? You can monitor your cameras in your car remotely. How cool is that? So if you want to check to make sure that there's no funny business going on around your car, you can check through the app. You can also purchase upgrades just with a swipe right on the app. You can precondition the heat or the cooling within the car to make sure the car is hot enough or cool enough so when you get in. Now, in these Canadian winters, it can be extremely cold. So what I do is when I run into the store, I just go into the app and make sure that the heat is on before I come into the car. A Tesla Model 3 doesn't come with an actual key or a fob. You actually get like a black key. It's like a credit card. So you can use that if you want, and you just keep it in your wallet. Or you can tie that card to your phone, and your phone is basically your key, so you never have to walk around anywhere with a key. What I do is I keep that card in my wallet in case my phone dies, but really my phone controls everything for my car. And one awesome feature that I love is it makes my life so much easier is when I walk away from the car automatically locks. And when I approach the car with my phone, the car automatically opens. It's these small things that makes life on a regular basis so much smoother. Now, by no means is the Tesla Model 3 flawless. It has its issues. One being what I mentioned already, the software updates. So if you don't like the way Tesla updated the UI, you're stuck with it. You can't go back. Probably the biggest annoyance of owning a Tesla Model 3 is the handles. So despite it looking awesome and functioning to help with aerodynamics, people who are not familiar with entering and exiting a Tesla get frustrated, and it's kind of annoying. I find myself having to explain to family and friends how to actually get into the car. One flaw, in my opinion, is this AC unit smell. So after a few months of ownership, especially if you live in a humid environment, the AC unit tends to smell moldy or like vinegar. Now you can get that replaced. It's just a cabin air filter replacement, and it's not that big of a deal. But when you spend this kind of money on a car, you wouldn't expect that after only like 6 months. I also created a video on how to change it yourself if you're interested. The nice thing about Tesla Model 3 is the lack of maintenance. That's right. There's hardly anything you need to maintain. There are not a lot of moving pieces, and the car just works great. There are a few things that I did do. I recently got the tires rotated. I add windshield wiper fluid, and as I mentioned, I also replaced the cabin air filter. So that's basically what I've done after a full year. I don't intend, hopefully, knock on wood, to do anything more than that. And if you remember, we spoke about one pedal driving. I probably won't have to be replacing any brakes or rotors anytime soon. Now, if you've made it this far, thank you so much. I know it's a long video, but I truly appreciate it. Since the launch in 2017 of the Model 3, Tesla has changed many features. But at the core, the vehicle is an incredible car for what you pay for it. I've had zero problems with this car. I have zero regrets. It's one of the best purchases I've ever made. And despite some small flaws, I still love that car every single day. I love this car and I recommend it to anyone. Again, I know this has been long, but I really appreciate your time. If you like my videos, consider hitting that like button and subscribing. And until next time, enjoy driving a Tesla.